At 4:30 in the morning, 3 hours before we were supposed to wake up, when Lieutenant Morrison's voice came through the speaker in our sleeping area, I knew something bad was happening. Everyone who was on night watch duty, come to the meeting room, Charlie, right now. This is real, not practice. I sat up and put my feet on the cold floor. Across the small room, Tyler Moss was already putting on his boots. His face looked scared in the dim lights. The kid had only been at Fort Huachuca for 6 months. He didn't know yet that when they wake you up like this, it's never good news. What do you think happened? Tyler asked, his voice shaking a little bit. I grabbed my jacket. We're about to find out. Fort Huachuca is in the bottom right part of Arizona, about 15 miles north of the Mexican border. It's surrounded by the Huachuca Mountains on the west side and desert that goes on forever to the east. The Army base has been there since 1877. They built it way back then as a guard post during the Apache Wars. During the day, it's all hot sand and desert bushes. At night, it turns into something completely different. The darkness out here isn't like darkness in a city. It's total darkness. It swallows up sound. It plays tricks on what you see. And lately, it had been playing tricks on all of us. The meeting room was packed when we got there. Maybe 30 soldiers, all looking confused and only half awake. Lieutenant Morrison stood at the front with his jaw tight. Next to him was Sergeant First Class David Kuruk, a man who didn't talk much, but everyone respected him just by how he acted. Kuruk was Navajo, and he grew up near the Shiprock area in New Mexico. There was something about him that made even the toughest guys nervous. Maybe it was his eyes. They were dark and deep, and when he looked at you, it felt like he could see right through to whatever secrets you were hiding. Morrison cleared his throat. Listen carefully. At around 2 o'clock in the morning, Private Jackson didn't call in for his check-in during his patrol. Following our normal rules, we waited 15 minutes to see if he would call late. Nothing happened. At 2:30 in the morning, a search group went out to Section 7 near the east fence, Jackson's last known spot. The room went totally quiet. Jackson's truck was found empty near the fence. The engine was still running. The driver's door was open. His M16 gun was on the ground 20 feet from the truck, fully loaded, safety still on. His radio was broken into pieces. Morrison paused and looked at Kuruk. There were tracks, animal tracks, big ones that looked like dog prints, but bigger than any coyote we've seen out here. The search team also said they heard strange sounds in the area. What kind of sounds, sir? Someone asked. Morrison's jaw got tighter. Screaming, but not human screaming. They said it sounded like many animals, but wrong somehow, twisted, like voices trying to make words. My stomach felt sick. This wasn't the first time something like this happened. Over the past 3 weeks, we'd had reports of weird animal activity on the base. Coyotes acting mean near the sleeping buildings. Deer standing perfectly still in the middle of roads at night and refusing to move. And then there was Corporal Stevens. 2 weeks ago, Stevens had been on night watch by himself, checking the southeast fence near Garden Canyon, when he called in saying something was following him. His message was messed up and panicked. He kept saying, "It's walking wrong. It's walking wrong." When backup got there 15 minutes later, they found Stevens sitting in his Jeep, staring straight ahead, completely frozen. It took the doctors 20 minutes to get him to even blink. They took him to the VA hospital in Tucson, and last I heard, he still wasn't talking. Your job, Morrison continued, is to search and rescue. We're splitting into teams of 2 people. Each team takes a section. You will radio in every 15 minutes no matter what. You will not, under any situation, leave your partner. If you find Private Jackson, you protect him and call for help right away. If you see dangerous wild animals, you are allowed to shoot them. Your main goal is to find Jackson and bring him back safely. Questions? Tyler raised his hand. Sir, what about the tracks? Do we know what kind of animal we're dealing with? Morrison looked at Kuruk. For a long moment, neither man spoke. Then Kuruk stepped forward, his voice low and rough with a slight accent from growing up speaking Navajo before English. The tracks were unusual, he said slowly. They looked like dog prints, but the walking pattern was mixed up. Sometimes it walked on 4 legs. Sometimes, he paused. Sometimes it looked like it walked on two legs. The room filled with worried whispers. Morrison held up his hand. That's enough guessing. Whatever made those tracks, it's an animal. Could be a bear. Could be a mountain lion. Could be a sick coyote. We're trained for this. Follow the rules. Stay alert. And we'll have Jackson back by sunrise. Get your gear ready. You leave in 20 minutes. You're dismissed. As everyone walked out, I noticed Kuruk watching me. Our eyes met and something passed between us. Felt like recognition, like he knew I'd been feeling it too. That wrongness in the air. Rivera, he called out. I need to talk to you. I walked over. Up close, Kuruk looked older than his 38 years. Deep lines covered his face, and his hair, tied back in a traditional style, had streaks of gray I hadn't noticed before. You've been here long enough to know this base, he said quietly. 3 years, right? Yes, Sergeant. Since 1984. Have you noticed anything unusual during your night patrols? Before these problems started. I hesitated. The truth was, yes. About a month ago, maybe longer, I'd started feeling watched during night patrol. Not normal worry, but something specific, something focused. And there were sounds, soft clicking noises from the darkness. Like claws on rocks, movements at the corner of my eye that disappeared when I turned my head. Maybe, I admitted. Why, Sergeant? Kuruk looked around to make sure no one was listening. This land remembers, Rivera. My people have stories about this area. Stories that go back hundreds of years. Fort Huachuca was built on Apache land, but before the Apache there were others. And there are things here, things that were here first, things that don't like being bothered. Things like what? He studied me for a long moment. You know what a Yee Naaldlooshii is? The name sent a chill down my back. I'd heard it before, years ago. My grandmother, who had worked with Navajo families in Taos, had mentioned it once. She'd called it a skinwalker, a witch who could take the shape of an animal. I thought it was just a scary campfire story. I've heard the word, I said carefully. Kuruk nodded slowly. Then you understand why I'm telling you to be careful tonight. Whatever is out there, it's not just an animal. Keep your partner close. Trust your gut feelings. And if you see something that doesn't look right, something that moves wrong, you run. You don't try to be a hero, you run. Before I could answer, Tyler appeared. Rivera, we're assigned to Section 4. Together, east fence line, near the Huachuca Mountains. They want us leaving in 10 minutes. Got it. I looked back at Kuruk, but he was already walking away, his boots making loud sounds in the empty hallway. 10 minutes later, Tyler and I were in a Humvee, driving out towards Section 4 on the east side of the base. The sun hadn't even started coming up yet. Our headlights carved 2 weak tunnels through the darkness. To our left, the Huachuca Mountains were black shapes against the starry sky. To our right, nothing but open desert stretching toward New Mexico. The radio crackled with regular check-ins from other teams. So far, no sign of Jackson. Tyler drummed his fingers nervously on his M16. You think he's okay, Jackson? I don't know, I said honestly. But we're going to find him. That stuff Kuruk said about the tracks walking on 2 legs. That's weird, right? Animals don't do that. Bears do sometimes when they're checking something out. You think it was a bear? I think we need to keep our eyes open and our mouths shut. We drove without talking for another 20 minutes, following the fence road that ran along the east fence line. This area was far away from everything, next to federal land managed by the Bureau of Land Management. The fence here was old, put up back in the 1960s, patched in places. It wasn't unusual for coyotes to dig under it or for javelina to push through weak spots. At 5:30 in the morning, my radio crackled. Everyone be warned. More tracks found near Section 7. Wildlife expert is looking at photos suggesting possible mountain lion activity based on paw size. Be very careful. Mountain lion. That made sense. Sort of. Except mountain lions didn't scream together like a group. And they definitely didn't smash military radios. Rivera. Look. Tyler pointed ahead. Our headlights had caught something shiny about 50 yards off the road. I slowed the Humvee, squinting. 2 points of light low to the ground, staring back at us. Animal on the left side, I said quietly, reaching for my rifle. Stay in the vehicle. I killed the engine but left the lights on. The eyes didn't move. They just stared without blinking. I raised my rifle, clicking on the attached flashlight. The beam showed a coyote. At least that's what it looked like at first. It was standing perfectly still about 40 yards away, its mouth hanging open a little bit. Its fur was dirty and dark, darker than normal coyotes. And there was something wrong with how it stood. Its back seemed too arched, its front legs too straight. That thing looks sick, Tyler whispered. Rabies. I agreed. Rabies was common out here, but animals with rabies didn't stand still like this. They stumbled. They drooled. They showed clear brain damage. This coyote was perfectly still, perfectly balanced. And as I watched, it did something I'd never seen an animal do before. It smiled. I don't mean it pulled its lips back in a snarl. I mean its mouth curved upward at the corners on purpose, the way a human smiles. The expression looked deeply wrong on an animal face. And then it tilted its head way too much, way past the normal amount an animal can move. It tilted its head about 90 degrees to the side while keeping its eyes locked on us. What the? Tyler started. The coyote's smile got wider, and then it dropped onto all fours and ran, not running away, but running sideways to us, moving impossibly fast. It disappeared into the bushes in seconds. My heart was pounding. I lowered the rifle, my hands shaking. Did you see that? Tyler's voice was high and scared. Did you see what it did with its face and its head? Animals don't do that, Rivera. Animals don't smile. I know. What the heck was that? Before I could answer, my radio exploded with static and then a voice. Jackson's voice screaming through the speaker. It's here. Oh God, it's here. Section 4, East Fence near Sawmill Canyon. It's right outside my truck. Its face. The message cut off mid-scream. Tyler and I stared at each other for half a second. Then I slammed my foot on the gas pedal. The Humvee jumped forward, bouncing wildly over the rough ground. My hands gripped the wheel so tight my knuckles went white. The headlights swept back and forth across the desert. Everyone, this is Rover 4. I yelled into the radio. We have contact with Private Jackson near Sawmill Canyon. Section 4. Moving to help. Requesting backup right away. Static answered me. Then Morrison's voice, tight with worry. Rover 4, tell us your location. Stay where you are until backup arrives. No, sir. Jackson sounded like he was being attacked. We're 2 minutes away. Rivera, that's an order. I switched off the radio. Tyler looked at me. You just disobeyed a direct order. Yeah, well, I'd rather face punishment than tell Jackson's family we let him die. We came over a hill near Sawmill Canyon, and I hit the brakes hard. Below us, maybe 100 yards away, I could see Jackson's Humvee tilted at a weird angle. The driver's door hung open. The headlights were still on, and between us and the vehicle something moved. First, I thought it was a person. It was standing upright, maybe 6 feet tall, shown in shadow against Jackson's headlights. But the body shape was wrong. The arms were too long, the legs bent backward at the knees, and the head was stretched out with pointed ears that moved separately. Is that? Tyler's voice was barely a whisper. Is that a person? No. The thing turned toward us. Even from this far away, I could see its eyes catch our headlights. They glowed yellow-green like a mirror, but they were on the front of its face. Predator's eyes focusing on us with clear intelligence. Then it dropped onto all fours and began moving toward us. Not running, not walking, something in between. Its movements were smooth but wrong, like it was trying to remember how an animal should move but couldn't quite get it right. Back. Up, Tyler said. Rivera. Back up. I threw the Humvee into reverse, but I couldn't look away. It was covering ground impossibly fast. I could see more details now. Dark, leathery skin stretched too tight. Patches of fur growing in random spots. And then it opened its mouth. What came out wasn't an animal sound. It wasn't human either. It was both layered together. A coyote's yipping mixed with human laughter. The sound buried itself in my skull. Contact. I yelled into the radio. Contact. Section 4. Dangerous creature attacking. The thing was 20 yards away. 15. 10. Tyler opened fire. The rifle's noise was deafening. Bullets slammed into the creature's chest. I saw hits. Saw dark liquid spray. The thing stumbled. Fell. "You got it," Tyler shouted. But even as he said it, the thing was getting back up. It rose slowly, its head tilting to look at the wounds in its body. Then it looked back at us and it smiled. That same terrible human smile. "Go!" Tyler screamed. "Go, go, go, go!" I spun the wheel hard. The Humvee fishtailed. And then we were racing back toward the base. Behind us, the thing howled. This time it was answered. From the darkness on both sides, other howls rose up, at least a dozen. They came from everywhere at once. "What the heck are these things?" Tyler was reloading with shaking hands. "I don't know. Where's Jackson? We just left him." The guilt hit me. He was right. But what choice did we have? My radio crackled. "Rover 4, this is command. We have many teams reporting dangerous contacts across all sections. Fall back to Rally Point Alpha right away. Do not engage." "Copy that command," I gasped. Falling back to Alpha. Rally Point Alpha was the main vehicle area near the weapon storage. Lights, backup, defendable position. Behind us, I could hear them howling, laughing. The sounds seemed to come from everywhere. "They're hurting us," Tyler said suddenly. "What?" "They're not trying to catch us. They're pushing us away from the fence deeper into the base." He was right. Every time I tried to angle toward the main gate, the howls got louder on that side. Ahead, I could see lights. Rally Point Alpha. Other Humvees were coming together, all racing toward the same spot. We skidded into the parking area. Soldiers were jumping out, weapons drawn, faces pale. I spotted Lieutenant Morrison near the weapon storage, shouting orders. Sergeant Kuruk stood apart, staring into the darkness. When he saw me, he walked over. "You saw them," he said. Not a question. "Yeah, we saw them." "How many?" "At least a dozen, maybe more. They were working together, hurting us." Kuruk nodded slowly. "The Yee Naaldlooshii hunt in packs. They're most dangerous when they work together." Before he could say more, the howling started again, closer. Coming from inside the base, from the direction of the sleeping buildings. Morrison's radio filled with panicked messages. "Command, this is Sleeping Building 3. Something's trying to break down the doors. Sleeping Building 7. We have many contacts." The message cut to screaming. Morrison looked at Kuruk, then at me. For the first time, I saw fear in his eyes. "This isn't an animal attack," Morrison said quietly. "What the heck is happening?" Kuruk met his eyes. "This is war, Lieutenant, and we're losing." The next 15 minutes were chaos. Morrison organized 30 armed soldiers into 3 teams. Team 1 would protect the weapon storage and set up defense at Rally Point Alpha. Team 2 would move to get people out of sleeping buildings 3 and 7 where the attack seemed focused. Team 3, which included me, Tyler, and Sergeant Kuruk, would try to reach the command center near Brownfield and turn on the base-wide alarm system. "Rules are you can shoot anything that isn't human," Morrison said. "Aim for the middle of the body, multiple shots. Don't think one bullet will stop it." "Sir," one soldier asked, "what exactly are we shooting at?" Morrison looked at Kuruk. The sergeant stepped forward. "You're fighting Yee Naaldlooshii Skinwalkers. They're witches who've taken animal shape. They can move faster than you think possible. They can copy human voices. Do not listen if you hear someone calling for help unless you can see with your own eyes it's a real person. Do not chase them alone. And whatever you do, do not look into their eyes for too long." The soldiers exchanged nervous looks. A few looked doubtful, but most, especially those who'd been in the field tonight, believed. "Move out," Morrison ordered. "And may God be with us all." Team 3 had 8 soldiers. We moved in 2 Humvees, lights off, using night vision goggles. The base had gone strangely quiet. The howling had stopped. No more radio messages from the sleeping buildings. Just silence. "Eyes on the rooftops," Kuruk ordered from the passenger seat. "They like high ground." I scanned the buildings we passed. Sometimes I'd catch movement. shadows sliding along edges, too quick to be human. Tyler sat in the back, rifle pointed out the window. I can see them on the buildings. There must be 20 of them. Don't fire unless they attack, I said. Too late, Kuruk said quietly. They already know we're here. As if on cue, a shape dropped from the roof of the PX building directly in front of our Humvee. I slammed the brakes. The creature landed on all fours, then slowly stood upright. In the green color of night vision, it looked like a nightmare. Basic shape of a coyote stretched into human form. Front legs stretched out into arms with clawed hands. The head was the worst. A coyote skull covered in skin stretched too tight. It stared at us, tilted its head, and then it spoke. Help me. The voice was Jackson's. Perfect copy. Please, I'm hurt. I need help. Don't listen, Kuruk said sharply. That's not Jackson. Help me. The thing took a step forward. Rivera, please. It hurts so bad. Hearing my name in Jackson's voice made my skin crawl. Tyler raised his rifle. The creature's head turned, focusing on Tyler. When it spoke again, it was different. A woman's voice, soft and sweet. Tyler, baby, it's me. It's Mom. Don't you recognize me? Tyler's finger got tighter on the trigger. That's not my mother. I've been looking for you, baby. I missed you so much. Shut up. Tyler fired. The bullet caught the creature in the shoulder. Dark liquid sprayed. But instead of falling, it laughed. Drive, Kuruk ordered. Now. I floored the gas pedal. The creature dove to the side. Behind us, the second Humvee swerved around it. We were 3 blocks from the command center, driving past the old horse stables near Garden Canyon Road when they finally struck. The attack came from above and both sides. Shapes dropped from rooftops, landed on our vehicles. The Humvee jerked as something heavy landed on the roof. I heard claws scratching metal. Heard growling that sounded almost like words. Hold on. I swerved hard left. The creature on the roof dug its claws in, holding tight. A clawed hand smashed through the window beside Tyler, reaching for him. He fired point blank. The hand pulled back, but another immediately took its place. In my rearview mirror, the second Humvee was under similar attack. 3 creatures swarmed over it. The vehicle swerved wildly, hit a concrete wall near the old parade ground, and flipped. It rolled twice before coming to rest on its side. 2 soldiers crawled out. The creatures went down immediately. We have to go back, Tyler shouted. We can't. Kuruk grabbed my shoulder. Command center. It's our only chance. I wanted to turn around, but Kuruk was right. The command center appeared ahead. A reinforced concrete building near Brown Field. Lights blazed from inside. I drove straight for the entrance. The creature on our roof howled. I tried to reach through the broken window, but Kuruk fired upward through the roof. The creature rolled off as we skidded to a stop. Out! Out! Kuruk kicked his door open. We jumped out, weapons up, racing for the entrance. Behind us, more howls getting closer. Security, open up. I slammed my fist on the door. The camera turned. 5 seconds passed. 10. I could hear them getting closer. Open the door, Tyler screamed. The lock clicked. The door opened a crack. Captain Reynolds' face appeared, pale and sweating. Get in quickly. We squeezed through. Reynolds slammed the door, throwing multiple locks. Through the bulletproof window, I could see them gathering. At least 20 skinwalkers surrounding the building, pacing like wolves. The command center was designed to survive attacks. Right now, it felt like the only safe place in the world. Captain Reynolds was not alone. 5 other people were inside, all looking shocked. One man, a communication specialist named Gutierrez, was frantically working the radio equipment. Captain, I said, saluting, we need to turn on the base-wide alarm. Reynolds nodded seriously. I know. We've been trying to coordinate response, but communications are failing. Every team we send out gets pushed back or goes silent. How many casualties? Kuruk asked. Reynolds checked a clipboard. His hands shook. Confirmed dead. 4. Missing 17, including Private Jackson. Wounded 23. Missing, not dead. Missing meant something worse. The alarm system, I pressed. Can we turn it on from here? Already done 15 minutes ago. But look outside. I moved to the window. The skinwalkers were circling, but beyond them, I could see something that made my blood run cold. Soldiers were walking. Not running, not fighting, just walking. Calmly walking out of the sleeping buildings in their pajamas. Wandering into the darkness where the creatures waited. They're in a trance, Kuruk said. The skinwalkers can send thoughts, put suggestions in minds. These men think they're walking somewhere safe. We have to do something, Tyler said. We can barely save ourselves, Reynolds said bitterly. I've requested help from Fort Bliss, from Davis Mountain Air Force Base in Tucson, from every resource within range. But the earliest help arrives is 90 minutes. 90 minutes. Forever. There has to be something we can do, I said. Kuruk was staring out the window. They're not just hunting randomly. This is planned. They're separating us, using up resources, breaking our spirits. This is warfare. But why? Someone asked. Revenge, Kuruk said. Fort Huachuca was built on sacred land. The military kicked out the Apache in the 1870s, but before them, this was Navajo territory. The Yee Naaldlooshii are guardians. They protect the land from those who damage it. So we're being killed for crimes done over 100 years ago? To them, time is different. They've been waiting, watching. Tonight, they decided the time had come. Gutierrez suddenly sat up. Captain, I'm getting something. It's Sergeant Kuruk's radio channel, but he's right here. We all turned to look at Kuruk. He wasn't using his radio. Put it on speaker, Reynolds ordered. A voice came through Kuruk's voice, but wrong. Command, this is Sergeant Kuruk. I'm at the East Gate with survivors. We need help right away. About 30 people trapped. Please respond. Everyone looked at the real Kuruk. His face had gone pale. That's not me, he said. Command, please respond. The voice continued. We have wounded. They're trying to draw us out, Tyler said. And if they can copy me, Kuruk said quietly, they can copy anyone. How do we know who's real? The false Kuruk's voice grew desperate. Command, this is my final message. If you can hear this, we're moving to the old horse stables. If we're not there, we're dead. Kuruk out. The message ended. They're learning our rules, I realized. They've been listening, learning our codes. They know how we work. For a moment, no one spoke. We were trapped, surrounded by creatures that could copy voices, sneak into our ranks. Backup was 90 minutes away. I looked at Kuruk. You said you had a plan. What is it? Kuruk took a deep breath. There's one way to stop a skinwalker forever. Fire. You have to burn its body until nothing is left. Fire cleans. It breaks the curse. So we need fire, Tyler said. More than fire, Kuruk continued. We need a trap. The skinwalkers are smart, but they're arrogant. We can use that. What kind of trap? Reynolds asked. Kuruk walked to a map on the wall, studying Fort Huachuca's layout. His fingers stopped at a specific location. The old POL point, he said. The petroleum, oils, and lubricant storage area near Fry Boulevard. It was shut down in 1982, but the underground tanks are still half full. Thousands of gallons of diesel and jet fuel. I saw where he was going. You want to lure them there and blow it up? Exactly. But we'd need bait. Something they want badly enough to gather in one place. Like what? Kuruk turned to face us. Me, he said. They want me because I know what they are. I'm Navajo. I know the old ways. I'm a threat. If I walk out there alone, they'll come for me. And when they do, we blow up the POL point. That's a suicide mission, Reynolds said. Not if I'm fast enough. Sergeant, I can't authorize. Then don't. Kuruk's voice was hard. Those creatures will keep killing until there's no one left unless we stop them. And this is the only way. Reynolds looked at him, then nodded. You'll need a team. Someone to set up explosives. Someone to provide cover. I'll go, I said immediately. Tyler stepped forward. I'm in too. Two other soldiers raised their hands. Kuruk looked at each of us. Then we have a chance. Captain, I'll need everything you have on the old POL point layout, access points, and I'll need explosives. Reynolds moved to a locked cabinet. We have C4 and detonation cord. They already know something's wrong, Kuruk said, looking out the window. Look! The creatures had stopped circling. They were all standing still, facing the command center, eyes glowing. One of them, larger than the others, stepped forward. It rose onto its back legs. When it opened its mouth, the voice was Captain Reynolds' voice. You cannot win, it said. This land is ours. It has always been ours. Leave now and we will let you live. Reynolds stared, pale. We know your plans, the false Reynolds continued. We know your thoughts. We are inside your heads. We are your fear. Kuruk picked up a radio, pressing the button. Then come and get us. The large creature tilted its head. All around it, the other skinwalkers began to laugh. And then, as one, they attacked. The command center shook as 20 skinwalkers slammed into it at the same time. They hit the walls, the door, the reinforced windows, testing every surface. The bulletproof glass cracked but held. The steel door bent inward but didn't break. Get the explosives ready, Reynolds shouted. Kuruk, you have 10 minutes. Kuruk was already moving, pulling blocks of C4 from the emergency weapon storage, stuffing them into a tactical backpack along with detonators and detonation cord. How much time do we need? I asked, helping him. 5 minutes to place charges, 2 to clear the blast area, 3 minutes of running time, and if they catch us. Kuruk looked at me steadily. Then we make sure the detonator is in someone else's hands. Tyler stepped forward. I'll stay and control the detonator. Tyler, no. Rivera, you've been training for 3 years. I've been here 6 months. You're the better soldier. You go. I'll make sure those things burn. I wanted to argue, but he was right. Okay, I said. You're the trigger man. Don't push that button until you see us clear. Or until I have to, Tyler said. If those things get into the POL point, I blow it anyway. Outside, the skinwalkers had stopped their attack. They'd pulled back, forming a circle about 50 yards out. They're changing tactics, Gutierrez said. Heat sensors show movement. They're spreading out, surrounding us. Let them, Kuruk said. When we make our move, we're going through them. Speed and aggression. Reynolds spread a map across the table. The old POL point is here on Fry Boulevard, about 800 meters northwest. You'll have to cross open ground, past the motor pool and through the old training area. No cover for the last 200 meters. Kill zone, I said quietly. Which is why we're giving you a distraction. Reynolds pressed his radio button. All units at Rally Point Alpha, prepare for Operation Firebreak. On my mark, every vehicle with working lights turns them on. Make noise. Draw their attention. The radio crackled with acknowledgments. Assault team, you move in 2 minutes. Make this count. We gathered near the door. Me, Kuruk, and 2 others named Martinez and Akoy. For soldiers against an army. 1 minute, Reynolds announced. I loaded a round in the chamber. Beside me, Kuruk was saying something in Navajo. Prayer or war chant, I couldn't tell. 30 seconds. My heart pounded. Training took over. 10 seconds. Through the window, I could see the skinwalkers tensing. Mark. Go, go, go. Reynolds threw the door open. At the same time, every light at Rally Point Alpha turned on. Vehicle horns blared, engines roared, and we ran. The skinwalkers' heads whipped toward the vehicle area. In that moment, we sprinted across open ground, weapons up, tight formation. We'd covered 50 meters before they realized. The howls started. Not from the ones near Rally Point Alpha, but from the ones closest to us. Contact left, Kuruk shouted. A skinwalker burst from behind the old motor pool building, running on all fours impossibly fast. Martinez fired. The third shot caught it in the shoulder, spinning it but not stopping it. It jumped, covering 15 feet in a single leap. I swept my rifle around and fired full automatic. Bullets stitched up its body and into its skull. The head snapped back. It crashed to the ground 3 feet from Martinez. Keep moving, Kuruk ordered. We ran. More shapes appeared, coming from multiple directions. The teams at Rally Point Alpha were drawing most away, but enough remained. Martinez was in front, leading us through the motor pool. Rows of parked vehicles gave cover, but also created blind spots. Above, someone shouted. 2 skinwalkers dropped from a maintenance building roof. They landed in front of us, blocking our path. Behind us, more were closing in. We were surrounded. Formation, Kuruk barked. Circle. We formed a tight circle, rifles pointing outward. The skinwalkers circled us, 8 of them. Now they knew we were trapped. One spoke using Kuruk's voice. You cannot escape. Put down your weapons and die quickly. How about we kill you all instead? Kuruk replied. The creatures laughed. And then they attacked. They came from all sides. Martinez fired his rifle until it was empty, dropped it, pulled his pistol, kept firing. Akoy was beside him, using her rifle as a club when one got too close. I'd lost count of bullets. A skinwalker jumped at me. I jammed the rifle barrel into its mouth and pulled the trigger. The back of its skull exploded. Another took its place. We can't hold, Martinez shouted. Too many. He was right. For every skinwalker we dropped, 2 more appeared. Kuruk, I yelled. We need to move. Break left toward the POL point. Don't stop. Run. We broke the circle and ran. Not in formation, just desperate sprint. The skinwalkers chased, howling. The old POL point appeared ahead. A group of rusted storage tanks in abandoned buildings surrounded by chain-link fence. The gate hung open, the lock long corroded. We crashed through. Kuruk immediately started placing C4 charges on the fuel tanks, hands moving with practiced skill. How long? I asked. 3 minutes. We don't have 3 minutes. Then, by me time, I joined Martinez at the gate. Through my scope, I could see dozens of skinwalkers approaching, maybe 50 or more. No more tricks, just overwhelming force. Here they come, Martinez shouted. The wave hit us. I fired until my rifle ran dry, dropped the magazine, reloaded, fired again. Beside me, Martinez was doing the same. They kept coming. A skinwalker made it past our line, running for Kuruk. I pulled my sidearm and fired, but the angle was wrong. Akoy appeared, tackling the creature, wrestling with it. Her combat knife flashed once, twice, 3 times. The skinwalker shrieked and threw her off, but Kuruk pulled his pistol and emptied the magazine into its head. It finally stopped. Charges are set, Kuruk announced. Fall back. Fall back. We ran from the POL point back toward the command center. Behind us, the skinwalkers poured through the gate, dozens flooding in. Tyler! I screamed into my radio. Blow it. Blow it now. Running, Tyler's voice came back. Get clear. We were 200 meters away when the first charge went off. The explosion was massive. A wall of fire that rose 100 feet into the air, turning night into day. The shock wave knocked us off our feet. The heat was incredible even at this distance. Secondary explosions followed as the fuel tank's chain reacted. The skinwalkers caught in the blast didn't have time to scream. They simply stopped existing. But some had been outside the kill zone. Some survived. I forced myself up, ears ringing, vision blurred. Through the smoke and flames, I could see shapes moving. Maybe 10 skinwalkers, maybe 15, burned, injured, but still alive, and they were angry. The biggest one stepped forward. Half its body was burned. Black, but it was standing. When it opened its mouth, the voice was my own. You think fire scares us? It said in my voice. We are older than fire. We have survived for thousands of years, and we will survive you. Kuruk stepped up beside me, pulling something from his jacket, a small leather pouch. Maybe, he said, but not tonight. He opened the pouch and threw what was inside at the lead skinwalker. A fine powder scattered across the creature's burned flesh. The effect was immediate. The skinwalker screamed, a sound of pure pain. Where the powder touched, its skin began to smoke and bubble. Ash from a ceremonial fire, Kuruk explained, throwing more powder mixed with white clay and sage from shiprock. Sacred to my people, poison to skinwalkers. The creatures were backing up, running from the burning Puel Point, from the sacred ash. We chased, firing as we went, bringing them down one by one. The last skinwalker tried to escape toward the Huachuca Mountains. Martinez brought it down with a perfect headshot at 200 yards. And then suddenly it was over. The silence was almost painful. No more howling, no more laughter, just the crackling of flames and ringing in our ears. I checked my watch. 6:47 in the morning. The sun was rising over the San Pedro Valley to the east, painting the desert in shades of orange and gold. Morning. We'd made it. Sound off, Kuruk ordered. Everyone report. Rivera here. Okay. Martinez. Good to go. Acoy. Alive. 3 of us left. We'd started with 4. Where's Johnson? I asked. No one answered. We'd lost him somewhere in the chaos. Reynolds' voice crackled over the radio. Assault team, this is command. We can see sunrise. The creatures are backing up. Hostiles leaving the base. Copy that command, Kuruk replied, his voice tired. Assault team returning to base. We're going to need doctors and body bags. The walk back felt longer than the entire night. My legs were shaking. My uniform was torn and bloody. I'd lost my helmet, but I was alive. When we reached the command center, Tyler was waiting outside. When he saw us, his face crumbled. I thought, when I pushed the button, I thought you were still in the blast. You saved us, I told him. You gave us the time we needed. Tyler looked at the 3 of us. Where's Johnson? Kia, Kuruk said quietly. He died fighting. Over the next hours, as the sun rose and backup arrived from Davis Mountain, we began to understand how bad it was. 23 soldiers dead, 37 wounded, 12 missing, including Private Jackson. But over 700 had survived. Base command tried to classify the incident, called it a coordinated coyote attack, but you can't hide something like this. The survivors knew what they'd seen. I was questioned 6 times. Each time I told the same story. Each time, the officers looked at me like I was crazy. But they couldn't explain the evidence. They couldn't explain the tracks, the coordinated attacks, the voice copying. Eventually, they stopped asking. They moved me to Fort Carson, Colorado, gave me a month off, and strongly suggested I talk to a therapist. I never did. How do you explain something like that? Sergeant Kuruk put in his request to retire 2 weeks later. On his last day, he pulled me aside and gave me the leather pouch. Keep this, he said. Just in case. Just in case what? I think we killed a lot of them, but not all of them. And I think they have long memories. If you ever find yourself in the Arizona desert at night, if you ever hear something that sounds like a voice you know but isn't quite right, use this and run. I took the pouch. It sits in my gear bag now, right next to my first aid kit. I've never had to use it, but I check it every day to make sure it's still there. Tyler moved to Germany. Martinez requested a desk job and refused every field assignment since. None of us talk about that night. Sometimes late at night, I lie awake and think about what Kuruk said, about the land remembering, about things that existed long before we did. And sometimes just before I fall asleep, I swear I can hear it. Distant howling from somewhere out in the desert. Laughter that sounds almost human. I tell myself it's just coyotes. Normal coyotes. But I keep my rifle loaded anyway because I remember the way they moved, the way they smiled, the way they spoke our names. And I know somewhere out there in the darkness near Fort Huachuca, they remember too. You ever wake up knowing something's wrong before your brain even figures it out? I do every single day, and I probably will for the rest of my life. But at least I have the rest of my life. That's more than Jackson got, more than Johnson got, more than the 23 soldiers who died that night in October 1987 got. I survived Fort Huachuca. I survived the Skinwalkers. I survived the night shift. And if you ever find yourself on patrol in the Arizona desert darkness, if you ever hear voices calling from shadows near the Huachuca Mountains, if you ever see something that moves wrong, that walks wrong, that smiles wrong, don't investigate, don't get involved, don't try to be a hero. Just run, and don't look back. Because some things in this world are older than us, stronger than us, smarter than us, and they're always hungry. Trust me on this. I know.